Back in middle school, I crashed at my buddy's place for a sleepover, like I'd done a bunch of times before. His house was cool, pretty new, and had the sweet architectural vibe. No spookiness there, except for one tiny detail. Right down the road from his place, there's this graveyard on the mountainside with loads of Buddha and Shiva statues. In the daylight, the graveyard was no biggie. But when night fell and I went out to play with fireworks, I couldn't help but keep glancing back at it. It gave me the creeps, like someone was watching me from a distance. So one night, me and my two buddies decided to play some video games after dinner. One friend set up the console, and the other, the girl who lived there, went to use the bathroom. Instead of helping with the console, my lazy self decided to snap some pics of my friend with a disposable camera. Only had 3 shots left, and I wanted to use them up that night. I took a pic of my friend's back just as he was about to turn towards me. And here's the kicker. The TV was totally off when I took the photo. My friend got a bit mad at first, but we all ended up laughing it off. When the other friend came back from the bathroom, we just continued gaming like everything was normal. Fast forward a few days, and I got the photos developed. Looking through them, one caught my eye. It was the pic of my friend at the console, but on the TV screen, there was this green-faced dude staring right at me. And get this, the TV was off when I took the pic. The green dude had eyes locked onto me, a nose but nothing below. It freaked me out so much that I screamed and ran to my parents in tears. That photo became my first ever ghost pic. Both my parents were spooked too, and they told me to get rid of it. Couldn't argue with that. I showed the pic to my buddies to make sure no one else was in the room and that the TV was really off. They confirmed, and even our teacher freaked out when she saw it. We all decided to take the haunted pic to a Buddhist temple for some purification. But when the day came, the photo disappeared from the stack on my desk, never to be found again. I ended up skipping school the next day, probably sick from all the paranormal stuff. The next day, my buddy's grandma spilled the beans. The TV we used was pointing towards the graveyard, and just above it, there was supposedly a passage for souls to travel from their graves to the afterlife. That green glowing dude's face on the TV screen still gives me the chills whenever I think about it. Crazy night, man.